Prologue. Bad things come in threes. 1950. Petrovka, Russia. Thing 1. Marcos ran. He ran and ran. He ran like that kind of running that makes your chest burn. He was not an athletic kid. In fact, quite the opposite. Oh, but he was not the chubby kid either. He was just average. A little too average for his liking. To be completely honest, a little too average for any of the kids at his school's liking. He liked being by himself. He liked to explore, read, and, although his grades did not reflect it, Marcos was brilliant. And there we have it. Marcos was a loser. But that's kids, right? We all brand each other so we can label what makes us different. What makes us special. What makes us, us. It is so boring. So tedious. But every now and then, for some of us, something comes along to knock us off those paths and make our lives much more exciting. More challenging. More exhilarating. Poor Marcos. As he ran, images flashed across his mind. Nothing discernible. Nothing significant. Just blurs of light mixed with memories of things that had occurred that day. Kind of like the evolution of dreams one would have throughout a deep sleep. Suddenly, a voice yelled from behind him. "Come back here, you little faggot." He had begun slowing down, but with those words of encouragement, he picked the pace right back up. He knew these woods. They did not. He spent a lot of his free time around these woods. The trees were very thin, black and white, tall and bare. Birch trees. They were closely knit, creating a density that was overwhelming. He knew all of them. As he ran, he knew how to dodge and around them. A concussion. An injury to the brain or spinal cord from jarring caused by a blow. When the rock hit him, it was lights out. Then this. Waking up, freezing and in pain. He began to get up and the pain got worse. His head was throbbing. Now he remembered. He was hit in the back of the head with a rock. He began to clean himself off. Fortunately, he got knocked out easy. Perhaps his punishment would have been different had he not. As he picked up his satchel, he saw that he had been sabotaged. It was torn to shreds and much lighter than before. No matter, he had to get back home. He began his walk through the woods back to the main road. The road all the kids used to get to school and back. Not much of a road, not well maintained anyway. It was a small mining town. And there was a war on after all. Working his way up the hill to the road, he noticed something he had not before. A small shack built near the stream. This was not right. He knew these woods. He looked around. Lost. But then something completely drew all his worry away and was instantly replaced with fear. As his eyes adjusted, he noticed a silhouette of some kind of creature peeking through the now cracked open door. His eyes adjusted more. Oh, thank God. A dog. Just a dog. He called out for the stray pup. "Here, boy." But the animal darted inside. Marcos approached the door, completely forgetting that the entirety of even seeing this shack, let alone exploring it, puts him way off course. And who knows what time it must be. Nonetheless, he presses on. As he comes to the crack of the door, he nervously peeks in. Pitch dark. One step at a time, he moves slowly into the shack and notices a faint light across the other side of the enclosure. So he called out for the dog again. "Here, boy. Here, boy." Still nothing. He makes his way across the room to the faint light. A stairwell. The dog must be down here. Slowly he continues. He begins his descent. He can hear boards creaking. The walls were cement. It reminded him of the bomb shelter his dad had built. The cement was cold to the touch. A hallway was beginning to come into focus. As he made his last few steps to the landing at the bottom, his fingertips grazed both sides of the narrow cement stairwell. It was a kind of bomb shelter, dimly lit. As his eyes slowly began to scan the floor in front of him, they were met with a strange object across the room. A structure of some kind, like a statue. A piece of art, maybe. Too dim to tell. He slowly crept forward. Still too dim. Wait. Bars. Those are bars. Is that a cage? Suddenly the stray dog came back to mind. Was this where he was kept? How did he get out? No. Impossible. It is all locked up. That was when he saw it. A cage. A large cage that sunk into the dark recess of the basement's corner. But why? For what? A noise came from behind him, immediately followed by a foul odor. The noise was wet sounds. Like sopping sounds, and they were getting closer. He felt a temperature change and the hairs on the back of his neck began to stand up. He slowly began to turn around. When he laid eyes on it, complete and utter horror washed over his face. He swallowed, but there was no saliva to swallow. His mouth was bone dry. A puddle of urine began to surround the young boy's feet. He began to shake. The dark, shadowy creature stood over him. An appendage burst out from the creature's torso. It was not exactly an arm, but seemed to behave as one. A claw with 2 fingers, one apparently being the thumb, opened. The nails on the claw went straight for Marcos's jugular and stopped as if to warn. Marcos could not move. He just stood there. Frightened. Cold. Shaking. The creature began making clicking sounds with its mouth. The creature then lowered its head to meet Marcos's eyes. Marcos shut his eyes. The long nail on the end of the creature's finger began to drip blood. Marcos's blood. The nail slammed straight up through the boy's skull as he was lifted to the ceiling. The creature opened its large jaws, and just like that, Marcos was gone.